Hey everyone, Alyssa Lyons, Educational Content Lead here at EVERFI. We talk to our students a lot about growth mindset, how we can continually improve ourselves for success now and in the future. So this is the perfect time to talk about goal setting with your students. I'm going to go through 5 different activities that you can use with your students of all ages to help them set those SMART goals. Let's talk about SMART goals. You may have heard that acronym before. It is S.M.A.R.T. So those each stand for specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely goals. So we want to talk about that S, being specific about our goals. It's wonderful to start setting goals with your students and to actively have them think about ways that they can invest in themselves now and in the future, thinking about that mindset. So if you have a student, for example, that says, next semester, I want to make sure that I have all A's and B's on my report card. That's great, but how are you actually going to get there? So to start thinking about that goal setting, I like to look at our elementary program called Vault. The lesson in particular that I love to use with my students is to think about short and long-term goals. A lot of times for our younger students, it may be conceptually difficult for them to think about long-term. In the short term, we can know what we want to do and where to get there, but how can we set ourselves up in small increments of short goals to reach that long-term goal? Let's talk about measurable goals. I like to take a look at our flagship course for our high school students. Yes, that is EVERFI Financial Literacy. The lesson in particular that I love to use is the budgeting lesson. This is going to take students through how to actively set their own budget so they themselves too have the active steps to making short and long-term goals. But in this one, you're actually thinking about what's beyond high school a little bit. And maybe I have a job or I want to get a job within the next couple of years. Maybe they want to move somewhere. It's a really great one for them to start thinking about who they are as that whole child. The third one I want to talk about is those attainable goals. It's great to push yourself, but you don't want to push yourself so far that the goal setting just goes out the window. So with that critical age in middle school, I'm thinking my 6th through 8th grade students, I love to use Future Smart's lesson, Investing in You. It's great to think about the ways that not only can we invest money-wise, but also skill-wise. Again, that mindset goal. How can we think about those small actions that lead to bigger successes? Here in this lesson, what students will do is identify where they want to go in the future, whether that's in secondary school, that's outside of secondary school, maybe even 30 and 40 years down the road. What do they want that to look like? Next, I like to talk about relevant goals. The new year is always a time for us to think about our health. We probably see it everywhere in the commercials, the ads, the social media that we're looking at. So I like to not only look about the future that I'm setting my students up for, but also that mental health, that emotional health, that physical health piece that is so, so important. And I would even argue the center of getting to the rest of your goals. So a couple lessons that I like to bundle here together. I love starting out with our mental wellness basics course. This could be used for your middle school and high school students. It really is about removing that stigma of talking about mental health, but giving you coping strategies that will work best for you, that maybe when those goals don't come to fruition like you might have wanted, okay, how am I going to strategize around that and make it better? I also like to look at our Vaping Know the Truth, and our K-12 prescription drug safety courses together. Those go hand in hand in that mental wellness basics. How am I making sure that I am taking care of my physical health? I'm also looking out for my friends and my community. How do I handle those difficult situations? These are great lessons that reflect back on setting the tone for the rest of our goal setting. Very, very relevant as we think about the whole child. And lastly, make them timely. If we don't have goals that we're able to reach kind of in a short term, we may fizzle out a little bit. So let's think about some goals right now that we can actively work towards, achieve, and then keep wanting to go for more. One of my favorites for this is the lesson pathways. This is about carving that pathway for our students so that it leads them into successes no matter what path they take. Now, just a couple other ideas that I love to do with students as we're thinking about goals is for my really young students, I love the Compassion Project for both lower and elementary students. Thinking about that growth mindset, there's some lessons there that are going to talk on mindfulness. They're also going to actively take those coping strategies and put them in actionable ways that students can do it at home and in the classroom. If you want to go more academically minded with your younger students, Word Force is a great one where they can build their skills up. They started the lessons where they're just looking at sounds and letters, then they're building their words together, stringing it, and then moving on to vocabulary and comprehension. Those are great goals that students can actively see. They're playing games, and then you as a teacher can track their progress. I also want to make a plug too, since this is going to be a really timely goal, is in our EVERFI financial literacy lesson. Remember that one that I talked about with budgeting that's very measurable. Something that is new is together with Intuit and TurboTax, we're allowing students to have that time and that space to fill out their taxes. Oh my goodness, how many times have you said to yourself, I wish I would have learned about taxes a little bit earlier? So remember, SMART goals, great acronym for that specific, measurable, attainable, relevant, and timely. But thanks for joining us today. Always follow our EVERFI K-12 channel, like this video, and we'll be back with some more lessons for you and your students.